Sam Rockwell's like bacon. He makes everything better, and he gets to flex his quirky and snarky personality in the sci-fi offbeat comedy Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Is this a timey-wimey adventure, or is it just the delusional imagination of a madman? A man claiming to be from the future takes the patrons of a Los Angeles diner hostage in search of unlikely recruits in a quest to save the world. In addition to Rockwell, this stars Haley Lou Richardson, Michael Pena, Zazie Beetz, Juno Temple, Tom Taylor, and Asim Chandri. And just like the synopsis states, Rockwell plays our man from the future. He looks as though he stumbled through a clothing drive and was attacked by industrial hospital equipment while having a heap of trash dumped over his head. It's a visual creation that makes his entire introduction and character progression one of mystique, possible psychosis. We just don't know if he's telling the truth because while he does have some convincing instances, he's also wildly sketchy and seemingly unstable, so the entire situation could just be the delusion of a troubled man. The tone of the movie's kind of like a mix of Safety Not Guaranteed and The World's End, building an adventure that's filled with unknown dangers and chases instigated by imaginative creations, all wrapped in a potential time travel scenario. While Rockwell is solidly leading the cast, the ensemble really does work to round out the story. Each character's flawed or dealing with hurt in their own ways, complementing the anguish and drive that Rockwell displays while also compounding the mix of trouble. And even though the story does center around Rockwell and his mission to save the future, there is a somewhat timely message that the plot addresses, and that's the big bad advancement of AI. Okay, before you roll your eyes, the storytelling does create some adequate arguments for making AI the villain here. I mean, the points can be heavy-handed much of the time, and there are instances that feel too preachy, but instead of just telling us that AI is bad and the reliance on it will lead to our destruction, we get to see a somewhat clever, even offbeat visual that interweaves creepy science fiction, unsettling animation, and just the right amount of silliness to prevent this from becoming melancholy while also still maintaining tension and some excitement. As the characters progress on their quest, we get background development in the form of flashbacks that focus on one or maybe two characters at a time, allowing us to see what was going on in their lives before Rockwell showed up, slowly building that connection of the characters' roles within the mission. And even though I appreciate that the characters don't remain strangers to us, the added time dedicated to each person, it does slow down the pace and makes this feel even longer than its 2-hour, 14-minute runtime. And a lot of the time, the backstories come across more as tangents, distracting from the main expedition, even though they're needed to create an emotional bond with the players. As far as the mood goes for the movie, while it is odd and silly with sarcastic humor interwoven, there's a layer of melancholy that permeates everything. It's not quite dread, but it's close. I was continuously worried that Rockwell was just a madman who'd gone off his meds, and this entire thing was just a break from reality. But I was also equally concerned that he was telling the truth and the lives in this present were expendable in order to save his future. There's also a story element that kind of allows for do-overs, removing some of the riskiness of the crusade, which then, depending on how you take it, can ruin the story because it removes any stakes and consequences for our characters. That being said, though, I do appreciate how the story concludes, creating a twisted resolution that feels right at home with the rest of the presentation. The acting is subdued and restrained, allowing for hesitant, even nervous characters to slowly build their connection to the strange man from the future. Each actor gets to flex both their gifts for dry comedy and sentimental drama, mixing emotions to create endearingly odd and somewhat complex personas. I don't think this movie is going to be for everyone thanks to the bizarre, even eccentric personalities within a dark cautionary tale that's infused with sarcasm, absurdity, and a sometimes too on-the-nose message. But for those that do enjoy this type of story, Sam Rockwell shines as the disheveled weirdo convinced he can save the world, allowing him to channel all the strengths of so many of his previous characters, like Zaphod Beeblebrox, Owen, Bronco and Brutus, and Guy Fleegman. He competently makes the character charismatic and sympathetic while also being completely unreliable. The inclusion of touching, heartfelt character moments brings a relatability to the cast, while also grounding them within this wild fever dream of a tale. The narrative does feel overly long thanks to many flashback story tangents, and the existential dread that looms over the plot can be a little weighty, But the film still manages to deliver a strangely wonderful comedic sci-fi adventure that doesn't always fire on all cylinders, but is endearing nonetheless. There's no sex, some brief and strange nudity, a ton of profanity, and then a lot of violence. I give Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die 3.5 out of 5 couches. Okay, we all love Sam Rockwell, right? Right? Well, what's your favorite movie with him? Mine is The Way, Way Back, but I cannot wait to see yours in the comments below because there are just so many to choose from. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.